On October 1st, 1953, the United States and South Korea agreed to a military alliance that would forever change the direction of both countries.
동북아 지역에서 전략적 안정자와 균형자의 역할을 수행하고 있습니다.
Better known as the relationship forged in blood, the Mutual Defense Treaty between the United States and the Republic of South Korea marked the so-called Americanization of South Korea.
Korea has gone through an amazingly rapid and successful technological transformation.
From this point forward, America would have a powerful influence in South Korean culture, politics, and economy. The agreement allowed the United States military to continuously station roughly 28,000 service members within the country of South Korea. In exchange, the United States invested economically into the country, which at the point was one of the poorest in Asia. The Korean War in the middle of the 20th century destroyed Korean society. 50% of South Koreans were illiterate, the country had an unemployment rate of 40%. And the per capita GDP of the average South Korean is roughly around $100 compared to $19,000 for the average American. 85% of the population also lived in rural areas and poverty. The South Korean economy would dramatically increase as a result of this relationship with the United States.
국가의 경제 구조를 산업화의 구조로 가져가려고 했으니까 제조업이 중심이 돼서 계획이 만들어졌지.
Following the treaty, the United States provided $12.7 billion in foreign assistance, with the majority of this aid being delivered between 1945 and 1960. For the Americans, the goal was to prevent the spread of communism, rebuild a war-torn nation, and establish South Korea as a stable democratic ally in Asia. And for the most part, this plan worked. Today, South Korea is one of the top 15 wealthiest countries globally, with Samsung Group accounting for an astounding 22% of their economy. I mean, who cares about diversification, right? Most scholars would also argue that South Korea would not be where it is today economically without the help of the Americans. American culture also flooded into the country intentionally as well as unintentionally. In this video, I will examine the Americanization of South Korea and how it affected the Korean culture, and later discuss the unforeseen Koreanification of the West, especially in recent years as Korea developed economically as well as culturally. When we talk about American influence in South Korea, it's literally everywhere. The Korean War and subsequent US military presence played an important role in introducing American culture, with many Koreans viewing American lifestyle as a symbol of wealth as well as success. This later included the modification of the Korean educational system to structure it along the American way.
And I think that mental and physical health, mental and physical vigor, go hand in hand.
The US government implemented active propaganda programs, among which so-called the motion picture program abroad. This played a crucial role since American films were shown in occupied areas throughout the duration of the Cold War period, with the purpose of meeting the need of reorienting as well as re-educating those in the occupied or liberated countries. Quoting the 1948 Secretary of the U.S. Army, K.C. Royal, the Vice President F.C. Harmon wrote the goal of the program to present the American way of life. After World War II, American intellectuals shared a conviction that Korea could be transformed both physically as well as mentally. This led to widespread adoption of American customs and even language elements within the South Korean daily life. American pop culture, including music, movies, fashion, and food, became widely popular in South Korea. American GIs brought over ingredients such as Spam, hot dog, and cheese, which later would be incorporated into the Korean diet. Budae-jjigae, or Korean army stew, is a popular Korean-American fusion dish, filled with an umami broth, Korean hot pepper paste, kimchi, and American Spam, bean, and sausage. Korean fried chicken also originated during the Korean War when American soldiers taught Korean soldiers how to make fried chicken. Korean hot dogs gained popularity as a street food in the 1970s. It's also notable to point out that Korea today boasts the largest Starbucks shop in the world. Speaking English is also highly regarded as a tool to climb up the Korean hierarchy. While Korean remained the primary language, English is widely taught and used in many aspects of public life, including business as well as education. English is especially important in obtaining certain jobs, especially in firms like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. Therefore, those seeking personal economic advancements therefore must learn English. And Korean students generally prefer to study in the United States as a place to learn the skill. Among the 12,000 Korean PhDs who earned a doctorate degree from foreign countries from 2002 to 2007, 52% were from US universities. Furthermore, some Korean parents let their kids receive tongue operations in order for their kids to speak English more fluently, and hospitals even published an article endorsing the operation of a lantern jaw that would help people pronounce the S sound in English. As American-influenced thinkers dominate Korean society, Koreans are following the American lifestyle and learning English values and even beauty standards.
The new look of the Korean Republic is one of bustling activity and confidence. The American soldiers and the soldiers of all the United Nations have accomplished a miracle in a few short years.
Many researchers believe that the ideal beauty is created through social interactions and transmitted to individuals by friends and family, with a strong aid from mass media. These are often considered responsible for the creation of the collective psyche regarding traits of beauty and attractiveness. And Koreans are watching US television series and eating a New York brunch on a Sunday morning. For example, shows like Lost, Desperate Housewives, CSI 24, and American Idol are all very popular in Korea. According to the Korean Film Council, 41% of moviegoers saw a Korean film, while 50% saw a US film. In comparison, 3.3% of moviegoers saw a Chinese film, and 3.3% saw European films, and 1.3% saw a Japanese film. In addition, South Korea has been largely filled with Caucasian-looking models through advertisement and the consumption of Western TV shows and movies, especially US media ever since the post-war period. Those with means often admire the American way of life and thought to adopt what they could from America. Upper and middle-class women often imitated American culture, having notable facial traits such as big round eyes, double eyelids, and a prominent nose bridge is one of those features that are often desirable in South Korea. As a result, 52.5% receive cosmetic surgery, and 82% want to receive cosmetic surgery. And plastic surgery is even given as a high school graduation present for many Korean students. And as you can see from this video so far, cultural exchange tends to flow from the West to the East, or in this case from the United States to Korea. In fact, the United States is often perceived as a big brother to South Korea. Thus, they became a model for wealth as well as success. According to the Pew Research Center, 84% of Koreans have a favorable view towards the United States and Americans.
자유로움하고 약간 멋있는 것 같은데 그냥 그 미국 자체가 그냥.
The highest rating of any survey group in Asia. And this sense of favoritism is not always a bad thing, since it helped the country transform from having almost 50% of the population being illiterate.
A broad program of aid extending to many levels of the Korean economy, AFAC has been instrumental in helping to change the face of war-scarred Korea.
To an unprecedented high ratio of degree holders in a matter of just 50 years. Koreans also choose elements of the American culture that they perceive as an improvement over theirs, and added it to their culture, forming something old as well as new but still Korean. You can argue this for Korean food, music, and what they consider is attractive. The beauty standard in Korea is simply a combined element of what they like, and the result is still very different from America. If you don't believe me, take a look at what is attractive in Korea versus the United States. And Korean fusion food, although inspired by the Americans, it still combined elements that you would normally not do in the United States. For example, most Americans don't ordinarily put Spam as well as bean into their soup, and Korean music combined elements of pop, hip-hop, and so much more. And this new identity has helped Korea succeed in recent years. In fact, nothing has prepared the world as well as the United States for the Korean wave that started in the late 1990s, as South Korea started to create its own identity economically as well as culturally. In the early 1990s, Korea became interested in exporting its culture to the world, just as the United States had. The Korean government issued a report to the president stating that the movie revenues for Jurassic Park was almost equivalent to exporting 1.5 million Hyundai cars. This marked the start of Korea exporting its culture worldwide. At the time, the Kim administration expanded its budget for cultural industry from 14 million in 1998 to 84 million in 2001. It began pouring investments into cinema, music, and theater, and even regulating Seoul's famous karaoke bars to protect K-pop's intellectual property. And this investment would later pay off for the country. The massive K-pop act BTS has been selling out in US stadiums and even meeting the president. The movie Parasite has become the first foreign movie to win a Best Picture at the Oscars, and a couple years ago, Squid Game became Netflix's most watched show of all time. And Korean food is one of the fastest growing staples in America, with kimchi and bulgogi among the favorites. And like how American hot dog and cheese made their way into Korean food, bulgogi has now made its way into steakhouses, pizza, and even burritos. Listening to K-pop music as well as watching movies and dramas has created additional attention towards Korean cuisine, fashion, beauty, and so forth. Unsurprisingly, this widespread love for all things Korean have found its way into college campuses. Enrollment in Korean languages across the nation rose 78% from 2009 to 2016. As you can see, culture flows back as well as forth, and for a very long time American culture has flowed into Asia, including Korea. However, as Korea continues to gain economic as well as cultural power, it's been able to develop its own identity by taking parts of the West and fusing it into its own. And for the first time ever, Korean media is now influencing American media, resulting in a record number of visits to the country, as well as restaurants and the popularity of Korean skin brands. South Korea's soft power, or its ability to influence other countries through its culture, has increased, and it's likely to be the case in the future. If you want a video about the Koreanification of America, make sure to subscribe to this channel. There's so much more on this topic that I chose not to talk about in this video. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys again next time.